Okay, hello everyone. We're just going to wait a few minutes as people join. I would like to welcome you to our webinar in partnership with BT. I'm Ali Mima, Talent Acquisition Manager at HackerJob, responsible for all things talent related. But yeah, the Zoom link will just start to let people in. So we'll give it a few minutes. But we're getting to that time of year. I can't believe it's almost November. It's like I've blinked and we're at the end of the year, but before we know it, I'm putting up Christmas decorations in the house.
You mean you haven't already?
Do you know what? I'm looking forward to Halloween first. As soon as Halloween's over, it's straight onto the Christmas decorations. We'll give it a few more seconds and we'll start off. Okay, so just to reintroduce myself, I'm Ali Mima, Talent Acquisition Manager at HackerJob. You've joined us for our meeting with BT, building and empowering teams in Birmingham. Just a little bit about HackerJob before we start. HackerJob is a data-driven and engagement recruitment platform operating in the digital sector. We use key data points to find candidates' jobs uniquely based on their CV and skill set, ensuring both candidates and companies can conduct a more relevant and targeted approach to recruitment. Beyond that, we offer support before and after interviews, as well as offering candidates to show off their skills through coding challenges and project uploads. And a little bit about BT. BT is one of the UK's biggest telecoms and network providers. BT has a key role in British society, fostering change and leading technology innovation, from supporting their emergency services to investing more into research than any other UK technology company. They've also got global presence, providing customer solutions in 180 countries. And to introduce some of the panelists we have with us at the BT team here today, who will be fortunate enough to hear from. We've got Tammy Kennedy, a Senior Digital Delivery Manager. We've got Adrian Boyle, who is the Software Engineering Manager. Unfortunately, Adrian isn't here today, but he has recorded his presentation and will be able to speak through it. And we also have Dapo Olotu, who will be able to answer any questions fielded to Adrian at the end. And finally, we also have Steph Lee, who is a technical recruiter at the BT team. Just a bit of housekeeping before we start. We have a Q&A feature, so please pop any questions into the Q&A. We won't be using the hands up feature today, but any questions you pop into Q&A will be fielded at the end and we'll be able to answer them. We'll also be uploading the recording of this session on our YouTube channel. So any questions we don't get to answer will get to be answered at the end. And we'll also have the recording uploaded. And also in the drop-in chat, we're going to pop in the BT's career site for anyone who might be interested to see what roles we're hiring for. So that's me over. I'm going to hand over to Tammy Kennedy now, and she'll go through her slides.
Thanks for that, Ali. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining today. Just give me 2 seconds now to share this with you all. So as Ali mentioned, we're here from BT today and have very recently opened a new office in Snow Hill in Birmingham. Hence why we're very interested to talk to you all today and a little bit about what we're doing here at Engineering in BT. So just to start then, who am I? Why am I here talking to you today? So much as I might not like the number, I've actually been working in the technology industry now for over 25 years, which is quite a long time. So the little picture down at the bottom right isn't actually me, but I am a little bit different in that a lot of people fall into the technology industry. I was actually 7 when I told my parents that I wanted to be a systems analyst. Now, bearing in mind, this was many years ago and Google didn't exist. I was glad that they just came with me on that and said, yep, you can do whatever you want. So I was a little bit focused even from being quite young. So been in this game now for a long time, but I'm very much an advocate of building digital communities and also, you know, helping each other by sharing knowledge. Just because we all work for different places doesn't mean we shouldn't all help each other and share that information and knowledge about how we work and what we do. I think it's what builds the kind of environments that I want to work in anyway. So that's what I'm drawn to. So my actual role here is Senior Digital Design Manager for BT Consumer Digital. So that covers everything that is for BT&E brands and everything you can find in our digital estate. So that's from anyone even thinking about buying a product with us through that digital e-commerce journey and through to their in life and all the support that we offer around that. So as you can imagine, we are not a small department. We are very, very big. I think the last count we had, the number of squads that we have is up near 100, so we're not small. But that's kind of who I am and why I'm here. So my background is actually in digital business analysis, going way, way back. But I've done a number of different jobs, and now what I do is digital design, which means I look after a number of different roles. Which brings me on to, isn't engineering all about coding? So this is something that I've heard for a long time. And when we're looking at building our engineering community here at BT, yes, our developers and our QAs, they are a massive and very important part of our squads that we work with, but they are only part of that. For me, engineering's that much wider remit of people that we look at. So for us, that means it's business analysis. We have digital architecture in there. We have service management, and we also have quite a heavy DevOps area, which is growing by the day as we adopt more and more cloud-based platforms and see, the different platforms there that we use for hosting all of our many, many different things that we use. So for me, this is the wider remit. So I think it's always interesting when people say, well, I don't want to code, I'm not a developer, I don't want to do that. For me, it's sharing that much wider and saying, well, do you know what, there's much more to it than that. For me, business analysis is my heart of things. It's where my history was and what I grew up through doing. So I have a really strong passion for that. And I'm actually, as a side role, have chapter lead for BAs here at BT Consumer Digital. So back when I started about 6 years ago, that was about 4 people. We're now running at closer to 50. And still recruiting. So the size that has grown over the last 5 to 6 years shows you how seriously we're taking engineering here at BT Consumer Digital and how we're looking to grow. So as for the developers and the QAs, they're also really vital to what we do. And it's no secret that we're looking at moving our technology platforms right now into some of the more new age platforms. So on our web-based side, we're moving things into React. And for our app-based stuff, we're looking at moving into Flutter. So we take that very seriously. It's a big transformation, as you can imagine, when you think about the size of our digital estate and what we're looking to do. But we truly believe this is not only just better for our customers, which is really important to us and key and at the heart of what we do, but it's also placing us really well in the technology industry for moving forwards and being, technology leading company, not just a lead in telco, which is something that we're very, very passionate about here. So the architecture side is something that I also look after, as well as the business analysts. And what those guys are doing is looking at our technology estate and what are we building on? Are we doing the right things? Making sure that we have those guardrails in place to ensure that what we deliver is the best thing and in the best way. And obviously they work very, very closely with our DevOps guys who are looking after all our cloud infrastructure. So, and then service management are those guys who make sure that everything in life works so smoothly. And when there is a problem, I'd love to say we never have them, but that would just be a lie. But when there are problems, that we deal with them really quickly and efficiently and bring them all together. So is engineering all about coding? No, it's very much not. And for us, it's really key that we've built all of these areas strongly over the last few years and have a good plan to continue to do that. So our presence there in Birmingham is just one step of that journey. So I don't know if any of you have seen the office down in Snow Hill. It's ever so lovely, and it's been built in mind of how to best work going forwards. So what we do is we work in a very agile way of working. All our squads are empowered to choose which way that works for them. So there's not a one rule fits all. But these spaces in Snow Hill are designed around collaboration and working together. It's not all about just having a quiet corner for you to sit in and get down and do your own thing. There is lots of collaboration space and it's really fantastic. So we're very fortunate in how we've done that. And also we're doing that in some of our other areas. So we have other offices in London and in Leeds and in Manchester. So they're our main digital hubs really for engineering. But then engineering, as much as I love it, and that has been my will for quite a long time, isn't also the entirety of digital. So there is a much wider remit when we talk about digital as a whole and the community that we have there. So engineering is just one part of that. Building those things and getting them out for our customers is absolutely fantastic. And I will never get bored of seeing that. But there are so many other areas that we work with. So as you can see here, we have product design, we have a product community, we have service design, which is one of our newer disciplines here at BT Digital. We have a whole agile coaching capability, and we have our business community that we still work very, very closely with. So all of these, in my opinion, are all very much needed to deliver, high quality, customer focused features that we get out there all the time. And as you can imagine, there is very many different disciplines and types of people that we need into all of these areas. So for me, what is part of the community we've built within digital is those differences in people. We're not looking for people who are all the same. So, in the BA community alone, so it's now 50 people. We have so many different people and different ways of working and different approaches, and that is echoed in all of these disciplines. So we have people from all over the country, we have people in different countries, we have people across all age ranges, so very experienced people who are great at mentoring and helping bring up sort of newer people into roles, but equally those people who are new and have, and maybe at the younger end of the scale, have great ideas and different ways of doing things, which is what keeps us energized and keeps us moving forwards. So for me, it's very much an open place to work where everybody's opinion counts. So as you can imagine, with all these different areas within our squads, that's a lot of personalities and a lot of different ways of working. But what makes it work is that everybody is equal and we all listen to each other. So everybody is empowered to come along and share their opinions. There is no such thing as a stupid question. I'm very much an advocate of the fact that the only stupid question is the one that somebody doesn't ask. And that isn't just within our squads, that goes all the way up through our management layers and to our directors. They are very hands-on, they are very open, and they are very interested in what we do and like to hear all about it. So for me, that is part of what builds this community and what sets us apart sometimes from other places that I've worked previously, is the open and transparency and our ways of working and how we're always looking to adopt new ways of doing things. If we sit still, we get old, you get stale, and it's not great. So I know BT, sometimes with it being such an old company, has had in the past, kind of that perception that it's very much middle-aged men in grey suits. That is not the case. We have made massive strides in what we're doing and how we work. And that's partly why we're talking to you guys today, to let you know, that this is what we do and how we do it. So, which leads me on to a little bit more about what it's actually like to work at BT Digital. So I said I've been here about 6 years now, and I've seen it grow, but also the way that people work change over that time, which is something that really keeps me very much interested and driven in what we do. So one of those is like people focus. So obviously from a work perspective, our customers are key. Everything we're doing is to drive and produce the best we can for our customers. But the people focus here really that I'm referring to is how we work together and how we attract as people within BT Digital. And it is very much as that. We are people. We're not resources. We're not bums on seats. We're not there just to make up the numbers. It is about what works best for people and how we can develop really good working environments. So part of that is those offices that I've spoken about. So currently redone Birmingham and launched there, which I've not been down yet, but I'm going down hopefully in the next couple of weeks to see the office for myself. We're moving to a new head office in London and we're mid-transition of that right now. And we're building a brand new purpose-built place in Manchester too. Now, all of those are very much state-of-the-art and built with how it is best for us to work and what will work best for the people who are within those buildings. But alongside that is some of those opportunities outside of the day job. So what I mean by this is we have something we've just launched called Digital Wayfinders. And this is about how we work as a digital contingent. So some of this is to do with well-being, which has obviously been a big part of everyone's lives, especially during these COVID times. But this actually started way before then. We had a well-being guild that looked at how we can best support everybody who works within digital. So some of these things are, we've had things like Be Kind packs, and you can nominate fellow colleagues, and we send out little packs that had sort of sunflower seeds in for you to grow, and flumps, and just like little things that just brighten up somebody's day to let you know that someone else is thinking about you. Equally, we did last year an initiative around sad lamps, especially at this time of year when it's getting very dark and you can't get out and enjoy as much daylight as you can. So what we did is we sponsored people to get sad lamps and had them in the house to just try and help. But all these ideas came from people around digital. It wasn't a top-down thing. It was all from everybody who works within there. And we have a number of different initiatives and guilds that work in that same way. So some are looking at, how the way we work and how we improve those. Some are looking at one of the biggest ones we have right now is diversity and inclusion. And all of this, everyone's encouraged to take part in these, and that's outside of the role that you do. But there is time in your day to do that. It is not all just about your day job and how you add there. It's how you can also add value to us as a community within digital. And part of that is work-life balance. It's very easy to say, not always easy to live up to. And it's something, again, that we've looked at long and hard, especially over the last 18 months. Much like, anyone else on this call today, COVID changed how we work and how we approach things. We did have home working previous to COVID, but suddenly, as of March, everybody was home constantly. So how did we keep doing that? So there's a lot of work there done to make sure that we could support everybody, because it's much harder when you're all disparate and you're not sat with your team and you can't talk to people. You see them for the length of a call like this, and as soon as the laptop's closed, you don't know how they are. So we've put a lot of work there, but what we've been focusing on for the last 6 to 8 months is actually, what does that look like when we come back to work, because things have changed and moved on. There is no going back to the new normal and all of that. It's what's right for us right now and how do we make that work. So obviously I won't go into that too much because I'm sure Steph will cover some of that later on in what she does. But, for us, it's making sure that, yes, what the business need to do and how we work every day is important, but so is how everybody else has been over the last 18 months and what that means for people moving forwards. And that is not a 5-day in the office week. But there's lots of work always done around that side of things. And for me, it is one of the best work-life balances that I've ever had. One of our latest initiatives is a thing called breathing space. And we know that, everyone has had challenges over the last few months, and that will continue. So one of those things is for us to just be able to take a little bit of time to just switch off, move away from your computer, and just go focus on something else and just take that time for yourself. Because ultimately, people's health will always come first and how they're feeling. And that is something that is truly felt and believed across the entirety of consumer digital. And the other side of it, I think, is personal development opportunities as well. Again, a lot of places talk about this, but it's something that we take very seriously. So everyone has personal development plans, and the driver there is that first word, personal. They are individual, they are up to you. There is not one size fits all. Some people have very, very detailed plans of what they want their future career path to look like, and that's fantastic. And we will be there to help you every step of that way. Other people really don't know. They just know they're enjoying what they're doing for now. So as leaders, what's important for me is they're helping work with those people to make sure that they know what they want to do and how I can help them achieve that and get there. Also, as BT is the size that we have, that definitely comes with some bonuses. So, you know, we have a great training department that we have a lot of bespoke training put in place. We have a lot of solar companies. So we've recently had AWS come in and do some instructor-led training for digital, specifically just for us, which was really great and led to a lot of good opportunities for different disciplines within there, and came with certification, which was really marvelous to see. And the uptake on that was way bigger than we anticipated. So we actually ended up running more than we intended to. But equally, we run talent programs within BT across all levels, even up to director level. There are different talent programs put in place where we identify high performing people and help work with them to develop them into the next steps of their career and see how they go. But for me, it all boils down to the people that work there. For me, that's why I know what I do. The work is fantastic. It is so different and changes every single week. It's just dynamic. And for me, that's great, because if I get bored, that's not good for anybody, because I just get mischievous. So knowing that there is always something coming and how the technologies change, for me, is what drives me and keeps me interested. And I definitely get that at BT. But the bigger thing is the people who work here. It's just great. You know, it's very open, honest, transparent, and helping build those communities is something that really drives me, and I very much enjoy that, and hope to continue to help build them for many more time to come. So for me, that's a little bit about who I am and what it is that we're building, and why it is that I love being here so much. And happy to answer any questions as we get them coming through towards the end. But for now, I will hand back to Ali for him to start covering for Adrian. Thanks, guys.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Tammy. Really interesting, especially just to hear about your own journey and just make it more understandable that engineering is accessible to everyone. And it's really important. I know for the wider community that isn't as well known. I'm going to hand over to Adrian's video, just a reminder that Adrian hasn't been able to join us today, but he's the software engineering manager. I'm going to play his video, and at the end, any questions will be fielded to the team that we have on. So let's just start that.
Hi, I'm Adrian Boyle, one of many engineering managers with Consumer Digital. The area I work in is here the Get and Fix tribe. I work with about 6 squads across a variety of technologies. My main area of expertise is the front end, where I spent over 20 years as an engineer. In BT Digital, the engineering community is at the heart of our agile environment. And our teams have set up has evolved over time. We now use a tribe squad structure. Originally, it's sort of a Spotify model. I know Spotify don't use that anymore, but it works well for us. We're still evolving and understanding how our environment can benefit individuals and delivery. I like to think that everyone within the community can have a say in how they shape our future, which is really important, that we are all as one in that sense. So I'll share my screen now so we can see. Okay, so we have a tribe structure, which we've currently just moved to. We have the TLT, the tribe leadership team, which is a sort of group of all the heads of disciplines within each squad. So like head of engineering, head of design, head of product, head of delivery, and head of QA. And then within each tribe is a mixture of squads. Currently in our tribe we have 6, but they can vary from like anything from 2 to about 8. So if we go to a squad now, the squads are made up across a full discipline of people that we need for delivery of our technology. So we have the Scrum Master, Product Owner, Product Designer, a group of engineers, and some testers. As you can see, there's that orange box is an API engineer from another squad, essentially a dependency from another area. So we like to bring them into our squads in a sort of pseudo manner. So at least there's that instant communication and understanding of how each squad needs to work together. So that cross-functional squad, in theory, can cover everything that we need them to do to be able to deliver what we need them to do. Each squad has about 8 to 12 members, depending on the product and need of that squad. So we'll look at a good squad that I manage at the moment, Track Squad. They're doing a new product for us. So as you can see, they have the external API engineer attachment as well. But they have the Scrum Master, Product Owner, Product Designer, Content Designer, Content Editor, Senior Front-End Engineer, a few more front-end engineers, Solution Architects, Business Analyst, QA Manual and QA Automation. And together they make a really good squad at delivering what's needed for this new product. Part of our squad's build and way of working is we like to have them autonomous. So within the squad, every decision, the ways of working, improvement, feedback and learning is all done within the squad. There's no outside influence. They have control of their own destiny in that sense. And only if they have problems do they come out to speak to the TLT, the leadership team. So you can see from this illustration that the idea is that there's that uninterrupted coordination. They can talk to whoever they need to because they have that cross-discipline of functions, which it just proves really good to help them make fast decisions, their own decisions as well, which is important. And then they set their objectives and key results. And within the sprint cycle that they choose to do, whichever the one way they decide to work, in their retrospectives, they can then do the self-improvement, the feedback and learning loop, understanding how they can improve as a squad. And giving them autonomy gives each individual that sort of enablement and empowerment to be part of the journey for the squad and for themselves, as well as creating the product and feeling like they own the product, because essentially they do. They can make decisions on how that product is shaped. Part of making the squads work really well is the culture. So the culture of each squad is really important, but it's a mix of the people within it. And it creates a more welcoming and home-like feel or family feel for each member of the squad. So if you can see in this illustration, each squad has the same number of engineering members, but they have a slightly different flavour to each one, not necessarily due to they may have different technologies. It's just the makeup of the people within there. So part of creating the culture is the ways of working. As you can see, there's like ways of working, vision, values, and social contract. But if we start with ways of working, you've got self-development, which the squad can choose how they do that. When they do their stand-ups and ceremonies, and which ceremonies they choose to do. Then there's the things like coding, best practices, and linting, and how they do their code reviews. And then the social contracts, the more about the people side and how they work together as a group of people. So some of the squads have that sort of collaborative mindset where everyone has a voice and they share their knowledge, really close collaboration. And also having activities such as Fun Fridays or knowledge sharing activities or just getting to know each other. And then that builds that culture, which makes it a unique place to work and bonds everyone and creates a great family feel. And when you go back to the tribe now with this sort of culture understanding, you can see that the mixture of squads with all their cultures brings an identity to the tribe itself. They're all working on a similar product path, and it's great for them to all work together and bring in their culture, their ways of working. And they within the tribe, then that becomes a shared knowledge of those cultures, their visions, their values. And then it also gives the TLT chance to see how things are going as a group. And the TLT can then work with them to remove any impediments, blockers. They help with recruitment, resourcing, and act as the bridge to the business to protect the squads from the demands of business and reduce that need for over too many meetings and things. And then overall, you get that tribe identity. And as a tribe, you're all working together to better that product, overall product journey for the customer. So what we're doing at the moment is using Birmingham as our strategic digital location. This is a brand new state-of-the-art facility with some amazing sort of collaborative spaces and a great place for squads to meet and work. We're currently looking at maybe doing a hybrid type of work in the future. It hasn't been defined yet, but it'll be a mixture of home working and coming into the office. And the Birmingham office is great for that. They have lots of sort of breakout areas, huddle rooms, which are all connected. So wherever you go, you can always connect to people who are outside of the building at the time, wherever they're working. They have whiteboards, but also whiteboards that seem to travel around if you want them to. Almost if you're there by yourself, you can bring your friends virtually around with you to a certain extent because they have a video facility. I'm sure they're not supposed to be used in that manner, but they can be. My role as an engineering manager, I see it as like being the oil in the engine. The squads and the individuals they are the doers, make everything happen. And my job as that oil is to remove the impediments or blockers, ease things, make sure that each squad has the right capabilities, the right people to be able to perform to its best. But on the other hand, being a servant leader position, which I like to see myself as, I do what the squad needs me to do. If they have a need for resource or guidance or anything like that, then they tell me what they need me to do. And I do that happily because that's the relationship that we have. Give the power to the squads because ultimately they're the only ones who can create the products that we need them to. So the engineering manager is a mix of technical and people skills. I know when I was an engineer, I didn't like being told what to do by somebody who wasn't from an engineering background. So I think it is quite important, and also just to understand the broader picture of the technologies and how they work. So as an engineer coming into BT or existing, you sort of immediately part of a squad where you'd be welcomed and budded up with people. And part of that will be to give you that comfort and welcoming feeling to bring out your own voice. So you are immediately part of how that squad is shaped. Your presence will probably add to the culture, the ways of working, the experience. And so it's not like you would join an experience where you're told everything that's going to happen. You immediately bring in not just yourself and your skills, but all your experience and you as a person, which is really important to the culture and the way the squads are built up. And then the larger thing within BT as an individual in the engineering community is that community feel. So if you see yourself at the centre, everyone is extremely helpful. It's something I noted almost immediately when starting at BT was just how helpful everybody is. You ask a question across channels and people will answer. and very quickly and like really genuinely want to help. So the support structure and social structure is really good and very healthy at BT. And surrounding that is a mixture of tools and mechanisms and forums to help grow you as an individual and within the BT engineering community. So we have guilds and chapters, which cover things like accessibility and SEO practice, coding, like front end chapters and back end chapters. So there's lots of areas of knowledge which you can join and be part of that community. There's also learning, say lunch and learn, where various people come into the business and give talks about engineering and slightly wider area, but also individuals within. You can actually perform a lunch and learn to the digital community as well. We have GitLab and GitHub, which is important as an engineering point of view. Also, lots of well-being sessions. We've even had like live yoga and HIIT sessions, which is interesting, especially for me in my shed. There's Pluralsight, which will give you an account, so you can do self-learning and learning for relevant things within the role that you do. Slack is an incredibly important and useful communication tool, which we use, and I'm sure you've used, is continually, is just, especially over the pandemic, it's been so crucial. Along with Teams, which is a slightly more formal communication tool that we use, really good for meetings and in that collaboration. And then every Friday there's a DJ session towards the end of the day where anybody can submit sort of tracks or a wish list of songs or pieces they want to hear. And even if you're a budding DJ, you can have a slot where one Friday afternoon you can do the DJ. So to sort of wrap it all up, at BT, we genuinely cherish each engineering member, and we want them to grow and be part of a great journey that we're on. So that's how we do the Agile workflow at BT. So if you have any questions, unfortunately I won't be there to answer them, but my colleague Dapo, delivery manager, will be there to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, we're back. That was really interesting from Adrian. I think was really interesting, particularly about the community and how the community functions at BT, the support system that they have. I'm going to hand over to Stephanie and we'll go to Q&A straight after.
Great, welcome everybody. Nice to meet you. I can see we have around 44 attendees, brilliant. So what I want to cover for you today is what are we looking for when it comes to hiring and talent requirements. I can see in the Q&A people are asking about tech stack, etc. So we'll cover that. What to expect from the selection process at BT and how to be successful. Okay, now I have many open vacancies and we are going to share in the chat a very quick URL for you to access these opportunities. So you'll have a bit.ly BT Hacker Job link that you can go and have a look at all the vacancies, but I would like to highlight 5 to you today. So one of them is a React engineer. Now, in terms of location, by the way, it has been highlighted that it's mainly Birmingham that we are advertising today, but we also have opportunities in Manchester. So that's 2 cities at the moment where I'm hiring for engineering roles. So the React engineer, so basically as part of our core front-end squad, you'll be actually enabling our consumer delivery squads by producing components, frameworks, and tooling, which allow them to rapidly build and deploy the front-end code for our websites and our applications that are, by the way, seen by millions of customers each month. So very interesting, you know, front-end opportunity with React for you. We have several roles in that area. We also have Flutter app developers vacancies. So we're looking for, quite a few mobile app developers. So if you've got experience with iOS or Android mobile app development, that's great. Ideally Flutter too. But we can consider people that haven't got a lot of experience with Flutter, since it's quite recent technology. The third one I wanted to share with you is a Java API developer. Again, I'm hiring quite a few Java API developers today. And basically in that role, as a senior API engineer with strong Java experience using TDD, you are a critical member of the engineering team, just like Adrian and Tammy have highlighted earlier on. So you'll be responsible for building, deploying, and maintaining RESTful APIs to support our digital experiences. So that's another exciting opportunity within BT Engineering. And the last two I wanted to highlight is our strategic quality assurance manager. As Tammy shared with you in engineering, you've got QA. So in this job as a manager, you'll be responsible for the test automation approach and the methodology for quality assurance of our BT&E platform solutions. So quite an interesting strategic role that we have available at the moment in QA. And then finally, another strategic role, we're looking for a software engineering manager. So in this role, you'll be leading a team that will deliver the next generation of digital transformation. And that makes sure that we provide performance, stable, reliable BTE customer self-service platforms. Okay, so what we want in that role is somebody that has an experience of managing app development teams, working knowledge of app development, and that can be iOS, Android, Kotlin, or Flutter. All right, so that's the vacancy I wanted to highlight. In general, in terms of common skill sets and experience that we're looking for, we want people that have worked in agile methodologies or drive efficient ways of working and operating models. We're looking for people who have experience working with offshore and onshore teams because of how BT is structured. In most of these roles I've mentioned, there is an element of people management experience. Maybe you'll be mentoring, coaching young members, or you will actually manage teams of engineers. And then finally, but not saying that's not important, that's definitely a very good, important requirement, is good communication skills. It's very important that you can actually talk across different engineering teams and stakeholders, as Adrian highlighted with the tribes and the squads. So one good news, when you're asking, what are you looking for? It is not a mystery. We're not hiding it from you. We're putting it in our job descriptions. So we'll be being very transparent about what we're looking for, what qualifications, what education level, how many years of experience, etc. So do have a look at these vacancies in more detail. I have lots of other vacancies, of course. I've got digital business analysts working in Tammy's teams. I have solution architect managers and solution architects. So lots of other opportunities that you can look at. So that was the first thing. What's the talent requirements? Who are we looking for? The second thing I wanted to cover is application process. I realize it's quite late, so I will move on. So for the application process, I want you to understand that you should expect to have 2 to 3 selection steps. The first one is usually a 30 minutes interview, very likely to be a CV walkthrough. We may even give you some indication of the questions we may ask you. The second step can be a tech test. So depending on which vacancy you apply for, you may be asked to complete a technical test. And then the final stage is a final interview round where you will have like a technical competency interview and potentially a presentation to prepare. For all of these steps, we would prepare you all the way, and you will always have a team of recruiters to support you. And then finally, how to be successful at BT in the selection process. 1, don't forget your CV is a ticket for an interview. That is all it is. So spend time writing your CV and understand that recruiters will look at it very, very fast. So make sure you capture the attention of the recruiters by calling out the skill sets that we're looking for. And I can say, because I'm a recruiter, we are robots, right? We just look at the job description and your CV. If we don't see matching skill sets, we don't get an interview. Okay, so be very agile here in terms of looking at your skill set and experience in terms of making sure it matches the requirements that we've sold to you in the job description. Storytelling, very important. So when you make it to an interview, make sure you think of the STAR model, right? Think of the situation, the task, the action, the results. You know, how did you get there? So you are grasping the interviewer's attention and they are interested in what you have to say. Network, make sure you use LinkedIn, you get a mentor, you do volunteering. You have no idea of the power of networking, that, you know, your friend might get you your next job. So make sure that you extend your network and you participate in events like this. It's a great opportunity to do so. Don't rush answering interview questions, right? Think of the best example to demonstrate you have the required skill sets, right? The interviews, they're looking for evidence that you can perform in the role. So you know, like I said, it's not a mystery that the job descriptions tell you what we're looking for. But my recommendation is to prepare maybe 3-4 examples that you want to slot in the interview somehow, depending on the interview questions. So get yourself prepared to share these great examples using the STAR model. Have your questions ready for interviewers so they can see you projecting yourself in the job. That's a very important part of it. You must have 101 questions about what is it like to work at BT, what's the culture, what's your vision for 2030, who will I be working with, etc. So get all these questions ready. I will shut up now. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thanks for that. We're going to go straight to the Q&A. We've got about 30 minutes left, so we'll try to answer what we can. I think the first question that's come in was about who provides the cloud services for BT. Is that one for you, Dapo?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so BT is a very big business, so we're not served by just one cloud service provider. So BT has got its own private cloud, for example, as you might tell. And of course, we've got the AWS guys and the Google Cloud Platform guys and stuff. So I will probably use the word many. So the more of those technologies you know or that you're familiar with, definitely the better, and the more asset you add to us, because the business is quite agile and we might want to pivot towards another cloud service provider at any time, just in order to provide service to the customer. So we make decisions on the fly and adopt as much technology as we can, as well as support the objective that the business is trying to achieve. So maybe that's the simplest way to answer that for now. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. We've received a few questions just about routes into coming into working with BT. I know, Tammy, you mentioned you want to talk a little bit about grad schemes and the Evolve path.
Yep, so we have many different routes, and obviously Steph is our main route and she is fantastic at what she does and finds us really good candidates, so please listen to her advice. We do have graduate schemes that we run as well for those people coming out of university, but that's not all that we do. So one of the things we do look at is all the untapped talent that we have sometimes working in other areas of BT who want to make a move into digital careers. So we've developed a program called Evolve, and what we do is look for behaviours and some knowledge, but more behaviours and attitude of people and what their skills that they can bring in, them personalities into digital, and start some people off that way. And also for some of the roles, not all unfortunately, with some of the roles we do have more sort of entry-level roles. So again, those same rules would apply if you have some transferable skills, but have that right attitude and approach to things, then those roles are also open to anyone to apply for.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's really interesting that it opens up to people who aren't really in digital yet, but can transfer over.
Yeah, the knowledge of our customers is insane. So why would we not want them?
Fantastic. One for you, Dapo. Are BT open to cross-training applications from different tech stacks? Example, C#.NET backend devs into Java devs.
So again, it probably goes back to what Stephanie mentioned. CV is the first point of call at recruitment. So if the individual can display the requirement on the CV, or what has been requested on the job description, then the person has got a chance of getting to the interview. And definitely there's flexibility at the interview stage for you to discuss your developmental needs and all that. So I think it's all down to how you present that to the hiring manager and what he sees and what he needs to hire. But there's no magic one to if there's going to be training or. But for those who are internal already to BT, there are several avenues to get upskilled or trained. Right now, most of our teams are they are doing a lot of upskilling to React and Flutter. So for those who are internal, yes. For those who are external, I think there has to be a bit of a display of the minimum requirement of at least being skilled in one way or the other in that particular programming language. And when you're able to then come into the interview, then we can assess where you are on the journey. And then the hiring manager can make a decision as to either he's going to sort of take you along that journey and then provide a required training, so to speak. But the training is there, so it's like it's available. The main thing is what do you need to display in order to assess it? So I think that's it.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. And one that's come up is, how does the overall BT consumer digital objectives cascade to the tribes? I think that's one for you, Tammy.
Yeah, so it's a good question, and one I think that's often overlooked. So as Adrian mentioned in his presentation, we have what's called the TLT, so it's a tribe leadership team. So obviously they have their objectives, but they are very clearly communicated on throughout all of our squads. So we do something called big room planning, which does come from SAFE, but even though we're not fully embedded into the SAFE Agile way of working, it's one of the premises that we use because we find it really useful. And what that is essentially, it's like a quarterly session. And what we do in those sessions is communicate any changes. We only look at objectives for that next quarter and what we want to focus on. And what also happens there is the product owners take them and see how they work for their individual squads. So everyone's aware of what the bigger overall arching measure is, but equally how you adopt that within the space you work in and make it your own. So we use those quarterly planning sessions for that, but there is also regular communication all the time from our enablement teams and our directors about vision and how we're doing. So there's a lot of communication around those. So it's really clear and nobody can say they don't know what it is that we're working towards.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thanks for that. One that's been briefly answered already by Dapo, but I think crosses over to Stephanie a little bit, is from Yasser. I would like to know which cloud platform is mainly used at BT, or if it's a multi-cloud environment. Moreover, as a cloud support analyst, I'm interested in relevant opportunities for the Birmingham office. So will having relevant experience suffice, or are certifications also a prerequisite to joining the DevOps cloud team?
Yeah, so I think the answer on cloud platform was answered by Dapo in terms of the different platforms that we're using, AWS, etc., GCP, and then BT having their own cloud platforms. So in terms of qualifications and education level, it depends on the vacancy. So there are some vacancies where we'd be expecting people to have a degree or certain qualifications, where for others with a relevant experience, they would have gained through different jobs that would be sufficient. So don't be hung up too much on qualification and education. It will really depend. When I look at a candidate, I look at the overall package. I don't isolate one thing over the other. I look at the potential. And I think there was another question, was it about location? No, it was a long question. Yeah, so we're mainly looking at Birmingham and Manchester right now. We have what we call a smart working policy, which is what Tammy has started discussing early on. And that basically means that, yes, we have invested in state-of-the-art buildings in big cities, and we want people to collaborate because that's important for us to be successful. But yes, we have learned from the pandemic, and we're not expecting people to be in the office every day of the week. So we don't have like a set days a week you need to be in the office. It's not like that. It's flexible, but it will depend really on your team, your manager, and your objectives.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And I think that leads me on to one of the questions that come up about the pandemic. How did it affect the work opportunities, and did it increase work opportunities within BT? If you'd like to take that, Tammy.
Yeah, so I think all of us obviously initially were a little concerned around obviously about the pandemic itself, but what that meant for us, because we always have a very busy roadmap of what we want to deliver. and there was an expectation that our velocity would drop. Unfortunately, it didn't. We were really surprised we actually kept velocity and even increased somewhat. But that we also made a conscious choice to continue with parts of our transformation journey, and part of that was recruitment and growth. So we have employed, I don't even have the numbers, but a fair old number of people over the last 18 months remotely during this pandemic. So I would say it's definitely increased. We didn't let it stop us. We learned from it, we adapted, and we moved on.
Fantastic. This one's a bit of a fun question. When I hear of BT, I think of landlines. Apart from phones and broadband, what other products do you guys build or have? Also, where will you say engineering is in their agile transformation journey?
So Dapper, I don't know if you want to take a little bit around what you're doing in the AI space.
Yeah, so there are several, in terms of the product you can buy, maybe that's what those examples are around landlines and stuff. I think we just sold some PS5, so that's definitely not a mobile phone or landline. Again, number one is our business model needs to be understood. Number one, we're sort of in two places. Number one, we serve consumers, so that's individuals, right? And we also serve business. For businesses, we provide many things to, for example, the fire service, the NHS, the police. So our services underpin some of the big social activities you'll find in the UK and in the better part of Europe as well. So fiber and all the likes, those are part of our products. From a consumer point of view, definitely phone is one of sort of the biggest things you have, which is those things. But of course, we're expanding our verticals as well. At the moment, we're also looking at things around AI and machine learning. BT definitely is also looking into things around startup and innovation incubation, for example, which is another arm of BT. So I think if you want to look at BT as a 12-story building, which definitely we have different things on each of the layers. And so BT is that big when you look at BT. When you look at consumer, then you then have to come down to the mobile phone sales and the gadget sales and the watches, the smart watches. So that means we have strategic relationship with Apple, Samsung, and the likes, and we sell their products on our area. What's the second part of the question around engineering?
I can take the second part if you want. So it's about the agile transformation. So as you can imagine, talking about the size of our digital department, it is huge. So there are different elements of that at different stages of that agile transformation. We have some squads and tribes set up that are outright agile, and they're dealing with all, like Dapper mentioned there, the incubation and the innovation type things. The majority of our squads are very much agile, and I think there was some questions earlier around which methodology. So we're not safe, we don't follow safe practices, but we are predominantly Scrum and Kanban, but the choice of that is down to the squads themselves. And there are a smaller number of squads that are a little bit further behind in that transformation into agile ways of working. But we're all working together to help upskill and retrain and make sure that we're all in the same place at the same time. But that doesn't mean that you do the same things at the same time, because we're in different levels of it. But no, we're definitely pretty much well on that journey with the agile transformation.
Fantastic. Well, just as we're coming to the end, there's a few questions just about sponsorship or relocation packages for more international candidates, just for Stephanie, before we wrap up.
The policy is we hire the right person for the right job. So what I'm looking for is matching a talent against a vacancy. Okay, so there are opportunities. We can look at different candidates, but of course we have to consider as well, budget, availability, locations, etc. So at that stage, I'd like just to stay open and say that everybody's welcome to apply. And as a company, we will assess and look at each candidate fairly and then let them know.
Fantastic. We've come to the end. We've got a lot more questions that but what we'll do is we'll fill them out by email. The session has been recorded, so once the session's over, we'll send out an email to all the attendees. with the rest of the questions answered. But thank you so much to the panelists. It's been a really, really good session, and I want to thank you for giving the talk to us.
No, thank you for hosting us.
Thanks, guys, and thanks for everyone for attending. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.